So there's been a couple of big changes since Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 7 was spaffed out last year. First, this flexible whopper is now included in Samsung's Certified Renewed program, so you can grab a refurbed version direct from Sammy with a fresh new battery for just over £1,500. And that is still very much a testicle ingestingly large amount of money for a smartphone, but it's still better than 1800 quid, I guess. And second, a couple of big bendy rivals have subsequently launched, namely the Magic V6 and the OPPO Find N6. And they're both absolute smashers, although you will have to fanny around importing them here in the UK because they haven't been officially launched in Blighty. In the Honor's case, just not yet at least. So is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 worth it in 2026 with that cheaper refurb option despite the tougher competition? Well, here's my 9-month review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first off, gotta say, I've never got on particularly well with Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold phones, but the Z Fold 7 was undeniably an impressive evolution of Samsung's book-style foldable blowers. It's the one I've enjoyed the most out of recent generations. And that all starts with the rather wonderful design. For one, it's almost as slender and lightweight as its slimmest Chinese rivals. Here it is side by side with the recent Find N6. As you can see, they're supremely skinny. Although that enormous camera bump does almost double the thickness and proves just as irritating as always. Now, this is responsible for some major jiggle action, whether the phone is folded or even unfolded. But the good news is that 9 months on, my Galaxy Z Fold 7 sample is still basically looking box fresh. So that Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2 screen doesn't have a single solitary scratch on it. Not even a tiny wee nick, even though I've crammed this thing arse to face with various other phones in the same pocket, or left it basically just free to bounce around inside of my backpack. I am still slightly gutted, however, that you don't get that anti-reflective armor glass of the Galaxy S26 Ultra, which would be particularly useful now that, the sun occasionally shines again. I mean, luckily that screen gets powerfully bright to counter any glare, so it's not really an issue, as I'll bang on about in a bit. But, when you're spunking out this much cash, you kind of expect an Ultra experience. And also that Gorilla Glass Victus 2 arse and the advanced armor aluminium frame, also in pristine condition. And bugger all squeaking or other issues from that new and improved armor flex hinge. As I said in my original review, the Z Fold 7 feels reassuringly durable as far as these foldables go. It feels like a proper solid bugger, and the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is IP48 rated. Certainly been absolutely fine with the many rainstorms it's been caught in over winter time, and a particularly spectacular one just this May bank holiday. Tell you, at the time this thing's got wetter than an otter's wet bit, and it's still absolutely fine and functional. And while this thing might not be quite as dust and particle resistant as its Honor and OPPO shaped rivals, again, I've shoved this thing in my backpack, which is an absolute haven for crumbs and muck and filth. Again, come out absolutely unscathed. However, one part of the design that I'm certainly not a fan of is that edge-mounted fingerprint sensor. Gotta say, it's still kind of bollocks. I've had to re-register my print God knows how many times on this thing over these past few months, and it still occasionally just refuses to recognize me, just like my friends when I bump into them in public. So yeah, I do occasionally end up resorting to the old face unlock, especially if my hands are just even slightly wet or grubby, which I do try and avoid whenever possible. The face unlock stuff, not the grubby hands, that's just a naturally occurring thing for me apparently. But it does help to save me heart palpitations at times. Now another big improvement for this generation of Samsung's whopping great foldy phone is that 6.5-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X cover screen, which mercifully isn't as ridiculously sausage-shaped as older Z Fold displays. 21:9 design is still rather skinny, but the aspect ratio proves to be perfect for enjoying movies on the fly. Apps work really well, and finally, typing out a quick message is no longer as annoying as Michael McIntyre's chirpy f***ing face. Visuals are reasonably crispy with that 1080p resolution. It's proper LTPO tech, and despite that lack of anti-glare glass, I haven't had any problems at all seeing what I'm doing on a sunny day, even when wearing shades. However, be warned if you are sensitive to OLED flicker that the PWM dimming isn't as strong here as on many Chinese rivals, just 480 Hz. And the fact that that external screen is so good for so many tasks means you don't really very often have to flip this thing open. Although I've got to admit, I do find myself opening wide, so to speak, several times a day, to the point where I can basically do it one-handed with relative ease these days. Used to be a nightmare with the zero gap design and everything, but after several months of this, I've got thumb muscles like sodden Hercules. And once you do prise this thing open, you'll unveil that almighty 8-inch display, yet another dynamic AMOLED 2X screen, with of course the usual highly reflective protector slapped on top. All of the other specs are the same, from the HDR10 Plus support to the LTPO tech. And yes, this is sadly highly reflective because of that protector that's been slapped on top. And thankfully, it is still just about bright enough to use on quite an intense sunny day, even with shades on again, although this might involve a wee bit of tilting just to keep off the worst of the glare. And Samsung has decided to scrap the under-display selfie camera for this 7th generation, which certainly improved the camera quality, but it does mean you no longer have that gorgeous blemish-free full-view experience when you're gaming or whatever. And of course, that orifice is still rather tiny, so I've never really been bothered by it. Now, I mostly use that big screen for multitasking, be it, writing notes on something that I'm reviewing while referring to a guide, or enjoying a bit of YouTube while browsing the web, or of course catching up on your mum's OnlyFans while checking those stocks. And multitasking, as usual, is basically effortless. You can just flick your finger up from the bottom edge to bring the dock up, and then you can either drag stuff onto the screen from there, otherwise you can swipe 2 fingers from the edge at any point to shunt your current app to the side, and then bring up another one for a bit of side-by-side action. And in split screen mode, you can quite easily swap the apps around, or you can also swap between a horizontal and a vertical split. On my personal favourite, you can also shift apps, so they're mostly off-screen, like so you can enjoy, for instance, a good bit of reading while also enjoying a bit of commentary in a YouTube video or something in the background, particularly good for like radio vodcast type stuff. And sadly, you can't split screen with more than 2 apps at any given moment, unlike some rivals like ColorOS on the Find N6, for instance. So it's certainly not quite as satisfying, not quite as flexible, at least not in that way. Although that said, you can at least bring up other apps as a mini window. So for instance, let's just drag Spotify onto there. You'll get a mini pop-up view, which you can then drag about. And they go on there. You can just drag it to the edge when you want to hide it from view. But I also use that whopping great internal screen for reading, mostly graphic novels and geeky stuff like that. I've got to say, they look absolutely fantastic on this whopping great internal screen. Really crisp and colourful. And got to say, I certainly do miss my foldable smartphones when I do just switch back to a regular mobile that I'm reviewing, because reading the likes of a graphic novel on a regular smartphone screen, even a near 7-inch mega bastard like what you get on most blows these days, just ain't as satisfying. Usually involves an awful lot of pinching so I can actually read the sodden speech bubbles. But one thing to bear in mind with the Z Fold 7 is that internal screen no longer supports Samsung's S Pen styluses. So if you want to get all sketchy or mark up a document, annotate, whatever, you're shit out of luck basically. Now, you do get a similar OneUI 8 experience to those Galaxy S26 flagship phones, apart from obviously when it comes to multitasking on the big screen, etc. Which does mean, naturally, all of the usual AI bollocks, buckets and buckets of it. I've got to admit, a large chunk of this I simply do not bother using really. However, one feature which has not passed over from the Galaxy S26 series to the Z Fold 7, at least not yet, it just happens to be my favourite S26 feature, and that's the call screening. It means whenever you've got an unknown caller, some sort of suspected spammy bollocks, you can just hit call screening and it'll say, hey, who are you and why are you calling? And you'll get a little transcription of their response. You can decide whether to pick up or tell them to piss off. And I, for some reason, still not here on the Z Fold 7. Really hope that does come in a future update though, because there's bugger all reason for it to not be here, especially as this is more expensive than any of the S26 blowers, even that bloody Ultra. But yes, if you buy the Z Fold 7 now, then you've still got 7 OS updates to look forward to and several years of security patching, so it is still good for the foreseeable. just as well if you're going to be spunking out the best part of £2,000 on a fresh new handset. And the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is powered by that Snapdragon 8 Elite 4 Galaxy chipset. It's not quite the freshest Gen 5. You've got 12 gigs of RAM here as well, and naturally everything still runs beautifully 9 months on, even when indulging in a cracking bit of multitasking. Of course, I'd be absolutely shocked if the situation was otherwise. And certainly gaming on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is enjoyable enough as well, even if neither screen, the external or the internal one, is particularly ideal for games. Because yeah, that cover screen's aspect ratio means you've got quite a wide but shallow view, while the internal display has the opposite problem. But I've got to say, it doesn't really affect my performance in games like Call of Duty or Wuthering Waves, by which I mean I suck just as hard with this one as regular blowers. But yes, even open world extravaganzas like Wuthering Waves play absolutely stunningly. You can max out the graphics, get it running at 60 frames per second, and that frame rate is nice and stable. It's incredibly rare to see any kind of stumble. The phone only gets slightly toasty around the top end, certainly doesn't impact the performance. There's bugger all throttling. And you got quite a basic game mode slapped in there courtesy of OneUI. Nowhere near as feature-packed as what you'll get with the OPPO Find N6, for instance, but it covers most of the basics. As for the battery life, well, sadly, that is basically the weak point of the Galaxy Z Fold 7, the Achilles heel, if you will, or the Uncle Spurt's everything. You see, the battery stuffed into this bendy frame is a rather measly 4,400 mAh capacity, so that's barely bigger than the compact Galaxy S26's battery capacity. Bearing in mind you've got this almighty bugger of an internal display to power whenever you open it up. It is of course significantly smaller than most Chinese rivals, the likes of the OPPO Find N6 and the Honor Magic V6. I got to admit, the battery life just for general mixed use does seem to have improved a wee bit over the previous few months. So 9 months ago I was getting around 6 hours of use from that main screen from a full charge, when I was reading comics, messaging, etc. while connected to Wi-Fi. Whereas these days it's typically closer to 7 hours of mixed use before the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is fully drained. However, that is on fairly casual days where I'm just sat at home connected to the Wi-Fi all day, and certainly if I do venture out and I start using my Z Fold 7 a bit more, you'll notice that battery life draining considerably quicker. So for instance, if I went out for the day, I had a little drive and was out and about in town connected to mobile networks where I could get maybe an hour-ish of Android Auto action and perhaps 2 to 3 hours of screen on time before this thing was dead. If you do a lot of video chatting on your smartphone, I'd typically get just under 5 hours of non-stop video chatting again on a full charge. And if you are addicted to a whopping great beast like Wuthering Waves, where you can play on those on the maximum visuals, but still only get just over 3 hours of fun times on a full charge, which is below average, certainly for any kind of flagship style smartphone. Now, if you consider yourself a power user, which seems more than likely if you're going to be spunking out, $1,500 on a fresh new smartphone, then you will certainly be better served by the likes of the OPPO Find N6, the Honor Magic V6, all these Chinese rivals with the far greater capacity silicon carbon tech. I'd say most casual users should happily make it through a full day on a single charge, but myself, especially when I've been, as I say, out and about, things have got pretty tense at times watching that battery meter drain. Now, if you do find you're almost fully drained, you need to give it an emergency boost before buggering out for evening out or whatever. Well, bad news, you've only got that 25 watt super lethargic wired charging. Well, the wireless charging is even slower than that. I can basically feel myself physically aging while I'm waiting for this thing to power up. Now, the camera tech was also upgraded for this generation of Z Fold, but the photography skills not quite as hot as the shooters found on those OPPO and Honor foldables. And that's despite Samsung slapping in that same 200 meg sensor that it ripped right out of the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I gotta say, nothing much has really changed on the image processing front these past 9 months, so if you enjoy the bright saturated pics that Samsung phones typically spaff out, you should be happy enough here. You can forget natural looking shadows and contrast. This thing is all about producing eye candy with a proper bit of digital tinkering. It's certainly a crowd pleaser, although I do still find some of my more ambient and low light pics can look rather soft with overly warm tones. And the Z Fold 7 also ain't great for action shots, so you will want to wait for your kid or cat or whatever to calm the flip down before you actually snap them. And also, while the Honor Magic V6 and the OPPO Find N6 boast an actually pretty decent telephoto snapper, certainly for a foldable smartphone, Samsung just made do with the usual 10 meg jobby here. It's a pretty small sensor, so not great for night shots, and once again, any kind of motion quite often buggers things up. This thing is certainly best used for portrait shots around the sort of 3 to 5 times zoom level, with a compliant subject who is happy to pose like a statue. And likewise, the 12 meg ultra-wide camera is simply fine. It's there if you need it, but hopefully you won't need it, certainly in the evenings. When it comes to shooting a bit of home movie action, well, the video setting's pretty much the same as the Galaxy S26 and S26 Plus flagships. You can shoot up to 8K resolution footage if you need to crop in edit, or 4K at 120 frames per second for a bit of slow motion video, or just 60 frames per second regular. And overall, gotta say, the video chops are pretty decent, if not quite as capable in low light situations compared to the S26 phones. And once again, you miss out on some of those S26 features, like there's bugger all horizontal lock here, for instance, to capture some silky smooth action cam style footage. And also, unlike the Galaxy S26 Ultra, there's no APV codec support, although you can still shoot in log. So you swap to that Pro video mode. And then scrolled away on the inside on that almighty internal display, you got yourself a basic 10 megapixel selfie cam, which is, you know, it's not great for vlogging and the likes, but it's absolutely fine for just a bit of video chatting. Can of course prop up your phone like so, using the old bendy bit. A good old natter, not having to worry about, you know, using the proper phone stand or anything. Only problem is with the angle, usually getting a good bit of nostril hair action into the mix. I'm really gonna have to attack those with the pliers later. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is what I reckon of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 9 months after launch. I've got to say, I really do enjoy it, apart from on those days where I bugger off out and I'm out all day long on the mobile networks, and especially if I'm using a bit of Android Auto, because I do get slightly terrified that battery is going to drain away all too fast before I make it back home. I'm certainly not helped by the slow charging speeds either, but that's pretty much my only real proper complaint. Otherwise, the performance is still absolutely excellent, even if it is a generation behind on the Snapdragon shenanigans compared with the likes of the OPPO Find N6 and that Honor Magic V6. The design and the build quality is fantastic. The displays are absolutely stunning, naturally. A shame that the camera tech can be a wee bit more reliable, especially in like the lower light conditions and what have you, but you know, they're not terrible at least. Personally, I'd probably go through the import route. I've got to say, if you fancy a massive foldable like this and you are a power user, a more demanding user who spends a lot of time on their blower, which you frankly want to when you spunk out this amount of cash. But anyway, have you got the Z Fold 7? How have you been getting on these past few months? It'd be great to hear from you down below. Otherwise, are you tempted by a massive foldable blower like this? Do your tappity tap down there, and while you're down there, please do poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers, everybody. Love you.